Season 14 of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills ended with a drama-filled three-part reunion that covered all the fights, feuds, and funny moments that occurred throughout the season. Overall, the reunion was productive. The women worked through some of their issues and walked away in a better place. To the surprise of fans, Kyle Richards and Dorit Kemsley made amends and took a step forward in their friendship. If you missed the drama, don't worry, we have you covered. Here are the highlights of the RHOBH Season 14 reunion. Erica Jane says she wishes Garcelle was more interesting. Erica Jane shared her honest opinion of Garcelle during part 1 of the reunion. The Pretty Mess singer called out Garcelle for not sharing enough of her life on camera, pointing out that multiple women on stage went through marital and legal struggles in the public eye. Garcelle seemed confused by the claim, telling Erica she is open about all aspects of her life. Erica wasn't satisfied with the answer. She decided to get one last dig in, telling her co-star, "I wish you were more interesting." Brutal. Andy Cohen calls out Kyle Richards for hypocrisy with Morgan Wade. Kyle was asked about her confusing relationship with country singer Morgan Wade during part 2 of the reunion. The RHOBH star dodged questions about the rumored romance, saying Morgan is not comfortable being discussed on the show. Andy Cohen jumped in to point out the hypocrisy in Kyle's statement. He reminded her that she appeared in a highly suggestive music video with Morgan in 2023. "I do just want to point out, putting out a music video that is the two of you as lovers, it contributed so mightily to a conversation that was already a runaway train, and that was totally in her hands," he said. Fans loved that Andy called out Kyle for her lack of transparency on the show, while simultaneously feeding the rumors off-screen. Dorit Kemsley tells Sutton Stracke she wouldn't want to live on a main road. Dorit's constant cursing was my favorite part of the Season 14 reunion. I could not stop laughing when she kept casually dropping F-bombs, Peacock Edition, obviously. Dorit delivered many great zingers during the reunion, but my personal favorite was when she insulted Sutton Stracke's home. "You don't exactly live like the Queen of Sheba," she began. "You live on F***King Main Road." The comment arose during a segment in which Dorit and Sutton were addressing the comments Sutton made about Dorit's financial status. Kyle Richards showed her vulnerable side. Kyle has always been a bit defensive about her separation and her rumored romance with Morgan. However, she opened about entering a new stage of life during part 3 of the RHOBH reunion. She shared that she began to question her friendship with Morgan once rumors started appearing online. While Kyle didn't come out during the reunion, she shared that she spoke to her daughters about the rumors. "It had gotten to that point where it was something that I needed to address with my daughters," she said. "It was a very uncomfortable, hard conversation to have. I wanted them to always be proud of me, and I didn't want to embarrass them." She went on to say that her daughters were supportive, telling the women, "Portia stood up and she came over and she put her arms around me and she said, 'I love you, and there's nothing you could say that would make us not love you.'" It was nice seeing Kyle open up and be vulnerable in that moment. Garcelle left the RHOBH reunion and the cast in the dust during part 3. Bravo released a teaser trailer for the reunion in March that showed Garcelle storming off stage and refusing to take the group photo. For weeks, fans speculated about what caused her sudden exit, sharing theories on social media. We finally got our answer when the RHOBH reunion Part 3 aired. Her exit was a bit puzzling considering nothing too volatile was said to her during the final part of the reunion. "I think she just finally reached her breaking point with this group of women. She also probably knew she was not going to return next season. It wasn't as dramatic as I hoped, but it was still entertaining to see the ladies' reactions." The air on the reunion set was thick with anticipation, a palpable hum of unresolved tension and simmering resentments. Season 14 of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills had delivered its usual cocktail of glamour, gossip, and genuine heartache. And now, under the unforgiving glare of the studio lights, it was time for reckoning. Andy Cohen, ever the maestro of mayhem, sat poised, ready to conduct the symphony of apologies, accusations, and occasional breakthroughs. To the surprise of many, whispers had already circulated that this reunion, despite its fiery moments, would end on a surprisingly conciliatory note, with even Kyle Richards and Dorit Kemsley finding a path back to friendship. But before peace could reign, a few more battles had to be fought. Part 1 kicked off with a familiar dynamic: Erika Jayne, sharp-tongued and unyielding, versus Garcelle, poised and often bewildered by the sheer audacity of her co-stars. The topic was Garcelle's perceived guardedness, a critique Erika had lobbed throughout the season. "Garcelle, you just don't share enough," Erika began, her voice a low, gravelly purr that often preceded a sting. "We've all been through it. Marital struggles, legal battles, public scrutiny. You hold back." Garcelle, genuinely perplexed, leaned forward. "Erika, I'm open about everything. My kids, my dating life, my work. What more do you want?" She gestured vaguely, her hands open in a gesture of honest confusion. The other women shifted, some nodding in agreement with Erika, others, like Crystal, maintaining a neutral, watchful silence. But Erika wasn't finished. A glint appeared in her eye, a predatory spark. "I wish you were more interesting," she deadpanned, the words hanging in the air like a poisoned dart. A collective gasp, quickly stifled, rippled through the set. Garcelle's expression hardened, a flicker of hurt crossing her face before she composed herself. The silence that followed was deafening, broken only by Andy's practiced, almost imperceptible nod, signaling the segment's painful conclusion. Brutal indeed. Part 2 brought the spotlight, inevitably, to Kyle Richards and her enigmatic relationship with country singer Morgan Wade. The rumors had been a runaway train all season, fueled by cryptic social media posts and Kyle's own evasiveness. Andy, sensing the audience's frustration, pressed her. Kyle, ever the master of deflection, reiterated her stance. Morgan wasn't comfortable being discussed on the show. She fidgeted, her eyes darting around the set, avoiding direct eye contact. Then Andy, with the calm authority of a seasoned conductor, stepped in. "Kyle," he began, his tone even, "I do just want to point out, putting out a music video that is the two of you as lovers, it contributed so mightily to a conversation that was already a runaway train. And that was totally in her hands." The words landed with the force of a gavel. The hypocrisy was laid bare. Kyle's usually composed facade cracked, a flush creeping up her neck. She stammered, searching for a rebuttal that wouldn't come. Fans, watching from home, cheered. Finally, someone had called out the glaring contradiction between Kyle's public narrative and her off-screen actions. It was a moment of pure, unadulterated accountability, and the silence that followed spoke volumes. The tension was momentarily broken by Dorit Kemsley, whose casual, almost artistic deployment of F-bombs throughout the reunion, "Thank you, Peacock Edition," had become an unexpected source of comedic relief. When the discussion turned to Sutton Stracke's earlier comments about Dorit's financial status, Dorit, with a flick of her perfectly coiffed hair, delivered a zinger that instantly became a fan favorite. "You don't exactly live like the Queen of Sheba," Dorit scoffed, her voice dripping with mock sympathy. Then, with a theatrical pause, she dropped the bomb, "You live on F***King Main Road." The words, delivered with such nonchalant disdain, sent a ripple of laughter through the room. Sutton's mouth fell open, a mixture of outrage and disbelief warring on her face. Even Andy struggled to suppress a chuckle. It was a classic Dorit moment, unexpectedly cutting, undeniably hilarious, and perfectly timed. But the reunion wasn't all sharp edges and laughter. Part 3 offered a rare glimpse into Kyle Richards' vulnerable side, a facet she often kept hidden behind a carefully constructed wall of bravado. The Morgan Wade rumors, the separation from Mauricio, the public scrutiny, it had clearly taken a toll. As she spoke, her voice softened, her usual defensiveness replaced by a raw honesty. She admitted the difficulty of navigating the swirling rumors, especially how they impacted her relationship with Morgan. Then, she bravely addressed the most sensitive topic, her daughters. It had gotten to that point where it was something that I needed to address with my daughters, she confessed, her eyes welling up. It was a very uncomfortable, hard conversation to have. I wanted them to always be proud of me, and I didn't want to embarrass them. The studio was hushed, every eye fixed on Kyle. It was a moment of profound humanity, a mother's fear and love laid bare. She continued, recounting the moment her youngest, Portia, offered comfort. Portia stood up, and she came over, and she put her arms around me, and she said, "I love you, and there's nothing you could say that would make us not love you." A collective sigh of empathy seemed to sweep through the room. It was a powerful, poignant admission that transcended the usual reality TV drama, reminding everyone that beneath the designer clothes and curated lives, these were real women grappling with real emotions.